It's your boy James, and today I'm coming at y'all with the sixth episode of the previewing and predicting series. I'm actually surprised I'm this deep. Um, Hopefully, I get through all 30. But today we're going to be talking about a team that just made a finals run, and that is going to be the Boston Celtics. This is one of, I think, the funnest teams to watch in the NBA. It's one of the younger teams to watch in the NBA, and they made great strides this offseason. So, getting right into the depth chart. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the Al Horford Robert Williams combination because I'm a huge fan of it. It reminds me of a lot of the Mobley Allen front court, but obviously Al Horford is a veteran. But I think it just keeps people off the rim so much, and Al Horford's a pretty versatile defender. And also, we know that Al Horford can you actually play the four because he can shoot. Um, so I really like the two center lineup. And I think Al Horford's the perfect fit. Robert Williams took great leaps last year. I still think he has another level to get to. I think some people think he's going to be a little better than he is, but I still do think there's an extra step because the even just the minutes from the year before last year and last year are crazy. The improvements, he worked on his conditioning a lot. Um, so I think this two center lineup going into next year is going to make this Boston team so good defensively. Um, that's another thing I wanted to talk about was just the defense. Such a good defensive roster, and Ime Udoka's been great for them. A lot of people did not like him when they were, I think, 22 and 23, but then they took off, and a lot of it was thanks to him and his coaching, obviously. Um, Very much reliant on the roster as well, but Ime Udoka made very good changes for the second half in the playoffs and won over a lot of people. Um, But defensively, Smart, great defender. Depoy, Jaylen Brown, great defender. Tatum, great defender. It's such a good defensive lineup. And then you have Horford and Williams, obviously. And then you've got Brogdon and White as your two guards off the bench. Like, those are two great defenders. Grant Williams. We all know what Grant Williams does. And then Gallinari. He wasn't great on defense, but he doesn't need to be. I'd say he's the only non-plus defender in the 10-man. I'm interested to see who's going to play backup center. It might just be Horford and Williams kind of playing off each other with the second unit. Um, but I think the only non-plus defender here is Gallinari, and a lot of these guys are plus defenders, like Smart, Brown, Tatum. I would say Horford and Williams are both plus defenders. Brogdon and White are both great. Williams is great. The Grant Williams transformation is really funny to me because I liked him, but he was such a Shaq and a Fool player. Like, he was so bad in 2021. I always get my years mixed up. Like, when it comes the year before last, he was just a Shaq and a Fool legend. He was airballing layups, corner threes. But he's been great for them. The next thing I want to talk about is just their two big offseason pickups. That was Brogdon and Gallinari. Gallinari, obviously, I'm pretty sure they gave the vet minimum too, so great on them. I mean, when you can bring in a guy like Gallinari, who's very experienced, a great three-point shooter, does his role very well, and you know he can play a role for fucking $3 million. I don't know how much he got paid. I think it might have been 1 for 8 off the top of my head. But why not? You have nothing to lose. He's a great player, great fit. Wanted to be there. Was his destination. So good on them. And then Brogdon, they traded Nesmith, someone fucking else, and a first round pick. Um, Rate on them. It looks like he's willing to come off the bench, which I love. And he wants to be there as well. So great pickup by them. And Nesmith probably wasn't going to play. I mean, Williams, Gallinari, um, Tatum, Brown, Nesmith had kind of lost his rotation spot in the rotation, even though he never really had one. But for their two offseason pickups, I really think it gives them another leap. Um, and like I said, just defensively, Brogdon's going to be great off the bench, great playmaker, great leader. And I do like him and White playing alongside of each other. Um, the only thing maybe I could think is there's not like a go-to scorer off this bench because I like Brogdon as a scorer, but he's not a go-to scorer. Derek White obviously isn't. Grant Williams, maybe Gallinari could be that guy, but you'll probably rotate Brown and Tatum in that mix off the second unit. So I really like their offseason pickups. Great on them. Great on Brad Stevens. Um, Another thing I just want to talk about is Jason Tatum, because I'm very high on Tatum. Don't ever fucking compare him to Kawhi. Kidding, but Tatum over Kawhi was one of the crazier takes I've heard, just because Kawhi was so good before he got hurt. But I made a tweet, and I actually think Tatum has a Kawhi-like ceiling of like a top three, maybe not top three, but a top five player. I don't think he'll ever hit that defensive stride that Kawhi ever did. But he's lengthy, great mid-range shooter. You can see his playmaking improving, kind of like Kawhi has. Um, so I think I see a lot of similarities between Kawhi and Paul and Tatum. I also see Paul George. Don't want to get on my Clippers talk, but I think Paul George is another, maybe a better fit just for his ceiling, because I think the last couple years, like with the Clippers, Kawhi's been like 11 to 15, and I see Tatum as like a 7 to 10 guy throughout his career, just because I like guys like Luka, Jokic, Giannis for years to come. But I think Tatum's ceiling is a perennial top 10 player. I like the Kawhi ceiling. Like I said, I don't think he'll ever be the defender. Um, but I like the mid range game is pretty. I don't want to say similar because Kawhi's that guy in the mid range, but his mid range game is great. The 3 point ball is great. The playmaking is improving, and it's probably already better than Kawhi's. And the defense and length is there. So I love Tatum's ceiling. You need to keep him happy. He seems like he is very happy. So yeah, and the last thing I wanted to talk about was the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, because it seems like they probably have the best offer. I drew up a trade, and I think this is probably the most realistic, because I think Brown and Smart are gonna have to be in there, and then 3 first-round picks. You might even have to throw some swaps in there, but I think that they don't have to trade for Kevin Durant. I think if they do, it's great, but you might be limiting yourself just because Brown is so young that you could really have Tatum and Brown for your next 7 years if you wanted to. Um, but I think honestly that if there's an offer that you feel confident that you're not giving too much up in, I think you do it just because you're a title contender already. And if you can bring in a guy like Kevin Durant, who probably still has I would say 2 good years in him, because I think his age is really going to catch up to him sooner than later. Um, but I feel like this is bad insight, but I feel like if there is an offer that you find suit, you do it. But I don't think you need to be sitting in your front office saying, we have to add Kevin Durant, because I think there's a chance that this team could make the finals without him. But bad insight, I feel like. But like I said, if you don't need to be sitting in your office stressing over bringing in Kevin Durant. But if you have an offer that you think is fit, I think you should do it. Because you're all in. You're a very good roster. And then for my prediction, I have them being the second seed at around 54 to 55 wins. I've realized that that's about what I had the Sixers at, and I don't think those wins add up, because I said some crazy win total for Milwaukee too. But I do think they're a second seed, and I think they're the second best team in the East. Excuse me. I do think the Bucks are better, but I think realistically with their offseason pickups, they can go beat the Bucks. They did last year without Middleton, obviously. They probably win with Middleton, but they also brought in 2 very good bench guys. So I think Boston, Milwaukee is going to be a battle for that East. There's obviously other East teams that I'll talk about that can sneak in there. But for me, I'm very high on this team. I think if you're a Celtics fan, you're in a great spot. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Clippers tomorrow. That'll probably be a pretty long video because I'm a Clippers fan, and I'll actually have an excuse to be able to sit down and talk about them. So that'll probably be a longer video for me. I can do all my dick suck on the roster we have. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm feeling better, so I'll be trying to drop every day. And then also, I don't think it'll be in the link. I don't think it'll be a link for this one, because I don't think it'll be set up tonight. But I am going to start a gaming channel. I want to do a Madden franchise, a no money spent for my team, and fucking COD, fucking everything. So I'll probably talk about that more in depth at the end of tomorrow's video. But other than that, like and subscribe. The first 3 videos or so did a lot better than the last 2. I don't really care about the views, honestly. I would like to see success, but honestly, I'm just here because I enjoy doing it. And I want to grow my talking skills for the future because this is what I want to do in the future. But other than that, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I'll see y'all tomorrow for the clip. Yo, what is good, YouTube?